Hello everybody and welcome to a Pikmin 4 discussion. Today I am joined by Jake Knows It from Game Explain, but also from just being Jake. How are you today, Jake?
Oh, I'm doing so well. I'm excited to talk about this game. It's been all I've been playing all weekend, so there's so much to go over. It's the fourth game in a franchise. So many different ways to look at this.
Yes, this game
Mhm.
is quite, in my eyes, this is going to be quite controversial because of how there's so many different elements to this game that some parts I really like, some parts I hate. And some parts I take for Pikmin 3, some parts I take for Pikmin 2, and we all know the Pikmin 2 is the worst Pikmin game, as everybody knows. I've put about 30 hours into this game. I'm nearly at 100% completion because I'm a madman, and I heard on my Pikmin trilogy review that Pikmin becomes really good when you start doing all the post game content, which I didn't do on the other ones. So I wanted to see them here. So Jake, how much have you played?
I've put about 10, 11 hours into the game, and that's just this weekend, which for me is like a lot. So that already is a pretty big endorsement. So I've seen like the first four areas, I think, got a bunch of different Pikmin, done the different modes, night mode, all that stuff. So I have a good understanding of most of the
Yep.
stuff in the game. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. So
hmm
I just want to point out my favorite Pikmin game is Pikmin 1. My least favorite is Pikmin 2. Pikmin 3 is somewhere right in the middle. Jake, where do you
Yeah.
come down on?
I really like Pikmin 2, and
Okay.
I guess that's a controversial take. But I will say, going back playing them on Switch, I've been able to understand why people like Pikmin 1 more than 2. And I do agree, I think you're one of these people that the vibes in Pikmin 1 are like
Yes.
unmatched.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really going for something. And I feel like it's tapered off on that edge every subsequent game. Pikmin 3 plays so differently to me that that's
Yep.
almost like a completely
Mm.
separate thing. So it's like hard for me to even consider that in the mix. But I a part of me thinks Pikmin 3 is like the best one. But I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. It's they're doing different things. So
Yep.
I'm pretty positive on the whole franchise though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Pikmin 3 to me, so Pikmin 1 was like a kind of RTS survival game.
hmm
Pikmin 2 was kind of the same, but didn't have the same like time limit that Pikmin 1 had that I thought was my favorite part about the game. And then Pikmin 3 is almost like I'd put Pikmin 3 kind of as a collectathon. It's more
Yeah.
like a collectathon. If you took a collectathon 3D platformer, took the platforming out and replaced it with like real time strategy elements. And I
hmm
think Pikmin 4 really hones in on that. If you play the game, Jake, called Tinykin, have you ever heard of that?
I know of it,
Yeah,
and
so
I feel like I gotta play it.
yeah,
Yeah.
so Tinykin is Pikmin, but as a platformer.
Cool.
Like you have to go around and collect different aliens that do
hmm
different things, that unlock different paths, that allow you to unlock new treasures and stuff. But it's
Okay.
more of a platformer. You're actually running around and jumping on platforms and stuff. So it's a really good game. Everybody go out and play that game. It's fantastic. And I think Pikmin 4, just like my high level thoughts, is a really good collectathon RTS game. But the other elements that it kind of either adds or takes from Pikmin 2, specifically the caves, is where the
Mhm.
game falters a lot for me.
Okay. So you are okay. So you're sticking with this idea that because you go into the caves, it eliminates the time aspect of it. And now you have however long as you like to get these things done, get all the treasures, defeat all of the enemies. The edge is taken off so much in these caves that you're just not having fun. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, yeah. And
Mhm.
even with since there's no time limit now, obviously you still have the day time limit. I actually think Pikmin 4 would have been better without a time limit, like just completely remove the day time limit, just or like the day
Whoa.
night cycle, just make it a complete collectathon.
hmm
Because I think the level design of Pikmin 3 or Pikmin 4 is
hmm
fantastic. The levels are unbelievable to explore. And as you get on, Jake, there's more that you haven't experienced, and the levels just keep getting better and better. Like the tutorial level that is a house just reminds me of playing Toy Story 2. And
Love the
there's
house.
something
Yeah.
so special about that Honey I Shrunk the Kids vibe that
Yes.
very few games give you. Toy Story 2 on the PS1, uh, Grounded, and the other Pikmin games are
Mhm.
like the only things that I can think of that give you that. Oh, we are this little small guy in a kind of human world. And when you're
Yeah.
exploring a kitchen and you're jumping on a sponge and you see a tap and there's a gas hob on, and you have to avoid it. There's just something so cool about that. So I think Pikmin 4 is a great collectathon, but everything else kind of falters a bit. It's still a very fun game.
Yeah, it's an interesting position because I gotta tell you, I really do feel this sense of delight, unlike a lot of other games, and I kind of want to give Pikmin its flowers for that. When I'm going through
Hey,
any yeah, when I'm when I'm going through any level in this game, I'm just like having a good time. I feel the perspective was a really good choice, the perspective shift. It just is nice to see, oh, what's this treasure gonna be? What's this enemy gonna do? Everything is like really nice to look at. I think for running on the Switch, it looks
yeah.
particularly
Mm.
good. Yeah. So there's like a lot of just like good little accoutrements there. But it's funny, you made that comment about should the game not have a day timer at all? And now I'm thinking about that because the game makes all of these accoutrements to uh getting home on time. It lets you move your base, I think, for the first time in the
Yeah.
franchise. It's like so many things in the game, they're like, we don't want you to not make it back home. To the point that I almost wonder maybe they should have just let you stay out there the whole time. And what is making you go back home doing other than just making you have to go through that sequence of going back to the base, getting new items, getting new upgrades, talking to the people, which I do like, I will say. So I don't know. It's interesting. I'm not 100% sure how it would go down if you could just like 100% an area in one run. It would be kind of cool.
Yeah, see, because since I tried to go for 100%, I am seeing Pikmin in my sleep.
Yeah.
There's just Pikmin everywhere. There's Pikmin
Mm.
on the screen, and I've just seen way too many Pikmin. I've beat all 4 Pikmin games for the first time in 1 month. Uh, I've seen so many Pikmin, but when you're going for the 100% and you know that, oh, if I go to this level, I've these 10 treasures. I could probably only get 6 on the first day, 4 on the second. And
Okay.
since there's no time limit, I'm not under any like a 30-day crunch to be able to find all the ship parts and get off the planet. It
Mm.
just feels like that going back just gets in the way of the fun. Where it's not like in Pikmin 1, there was almost a routine. It was really forcing you into that. You have 30 days and that's it. But here, it's like, I know what I need to do. It's not particularly difficult. It's just time consuming. And every time that I want to get a new treasure, and then say I get 6 treasures on the first day, I have to go back to the base, load in, have to listen to these
Right.
characters spout absolute nonsense that I genuinely don't give a crap about. And then spawn back in, see the cutscene, talk to the guy, go to where I need to go, load back in, cutscene, down to the planet, and then I can play again. Where I wish I could just give me the level, treat it as a 100% collectathon, and there you go, have your fun. Because I think if that was how this game was laid out, this would potentially be my favorite Pikmin game.
Yeah, it's interesting because they're a part of the game is going for that vibe. You know, when you're all hanging out at the base, there's all these characters there, and they almost start to, the more and more you get, start to make this like little society in your base. And it does have a more relaxed vibe than past games where there was like there is danger all around us. They don't really lean into that as much in this game, even though sometimes narratively they are like, we
Yeah.
have to find Olimar, we have to do that. But there's really nothing pressing you to do that. And it's even weirder to me that this game, out of all of them, even though they added it in 3 Deluxe, I think, it gives you the option to like rewind time.
Yeah.
And because why would you? I don't even, is it just because if you make a boo-boo and you want
Yeah,
to go back?
I don't know, like you lose 1 Pikmin, you want to perfect your score, maybe. You know, the art of Dandori, which
Yeah, there you go.
is pretty. I mean, there's probably time to touch on Dandori,
Sure.
where I mean, this was definitely the philosophy behind building the whole Pikmin franchise. It's just this. For anybody that doesn't know, Dandori is like the art of. It's like a Japanese philosophy, I guess. Or like the art of doing things in an efficient manner, which, I mean, you can see that runs through the whole Pikmin series. But this is the one where this is the first one that they've shoved it in your face, where everything is about Dandori, and that's cool. And I'm actually interested. I might get a couple of books on it because it sounds quite interesting. And I did economics, so I'm fascinated with efficiency and all that. But it is cool. But this is the game where it makes the least sense to shove Dandori down your throat, because at the end of the day, when you're in dungeons, even doing the Dandori battles and trials, the majority of them, bar like the final few that you do in the post game, it doesn't matter. You don't really have to do things efficiently. If you have like, if you're not a 7-year-old kid realistically, and you play and like games, then you should be able to do these pretty much no problem.
Yeah,
You know?
it's funny. I a part of me really can see like through the game to the developers. I feel like they made this game on their back feet. Like they're so afraid of Pikmin being difficult that there's all of this stuff in there that they're trying so hard to be like, please understand this, please get this, please don't. It's okay if you fail. Please keep going. And it's strange. I feel like since Pikmin 1, they've had this philosophy of, okay, the reason people aren't, this franchise maybe doesn't sell as much as we want it to, is because it is difficult, is because that's the problem that we have identified. And in this game, almost every new gameplay thing, I feel like you can tie it back to the difficulty of the game. Something like Ochi, who I really like as a mechanic and I think works and is like a really creative solution to sometimes you just want all of your Pikmin to go over a bridge with you. And
Yeah.
you don't want them to trail off the side.
Falling off and drowning and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, really easy to keep track of all your Pikmin when they're attached on this dog with you, all of that stuff. But again, is that kind of taking away something from that core Pikmin experience, from that management-esque looking down, having all these tiny little guys, making sure you're doing that correctly. Maybe to some people, maybe not to others. The rewind time thing that I mentioned before, that's obviously a contrivance for difficulty. But even just like the Dandori mode, which very similar to Bingo Battle in Pikmin 3 Deluxe. But they've tried to loop it now into the single player to introduce it to people and be like, look, this is how this works. This is how this game, we're going to teach you how to do this. And the rising difficulty of everything. I don't know. There's something about this game that I think is like really afraid to be the game it has in its mind until you get to the very end.
Yeah.
And yeah. And it's funny, you get to that mode, that bonus mode where it is like Pikmin 1, and there's a little bit of that feeling of like, is this the game that they want to make? You know?
Yes, you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
So for anybody wondering, we are now, I guess we're going to talk a bit of spoilery stuff, okay? There is a mode when you find Olimar, and you go and you speak to Olimar, and then you do this, you basically rewind time and he tells his whole story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you visit the locations from Pikmin 4, but you are Olimar, and the whole thing is you have 15 days to find 30 ship parts. And when I was playing this, I finished it in one sitting. I was like, oh my god, this is Pikmin 1. This is what Pikmin 4 should have been. Not that, see, this is where I think there's a bit of again, they're like afraid for Pikmin to be hard. They give it to you in an extra mode, where I think if they just fully committed to Pikmin being a collectathon game, because with Pikmin 3 and 4, they're obviously more collectathon-y, so there's just more treasures to find, and the maps are bigger, and they're a bit more intricate, but they're not very difficult. So I think if they just decided, we are going to go full collectathon, feck even trying to make this game difficult, then I think I would have been fine with that. But it's the fact that they straddle this line of, oh, we kind of want to give some people some difficulty, and we kind of want to give you the illusion that these Dandori battles are going to be hard when they're not. And then they give you the Olimar section that's just actually quite since I'm like getting pretty proficient at playing Pikmin now, I've played 4 of them in 1 month. It wasn't too hard. I think I had like 6 days left or something. But if you were like new to Pikmin, this is going to be tough, like really tough. And I hate when games do that, when they straddle the line because they're afraid. And it's like this game is just constantly at odds with itself. Of when you're in the world, it's chill, relaxing, so fun to explore. But then you have this stupid time limit that they put in because they were afraid of taking it out, from what I would say. Whereas if they just took it out, it would have been so much more fun. But then on the other hand, if they just decided, feck yous, we're giving you a time limit, you have 30 days to do this, these Dandori battles are going to be tough, these Dandori trials are going to be tough, you are going to have to master the art of Dandori to understand this game, then I just, see, I'm trying to word this where I wouldn't be opposed to them making this super easy, but making it really fun to collect stuff, because it's so fun. But it's just the fact that they're like balancing between the two. is what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say. It's like, it just comes across as, we understand that there are two audiences. There is an audience that we want to play Pikmin, and there is an audience that wants to play Pikmin, and we want to kind of try to meld them together somehow. And I think ultimately it kind of, becomes a bit muddy. And even like the final trials, like that Olimar thing was tough. The last dungeon is pretty tough, but again, not overly tough. And then the Trial of the Sage, which is kind of the ultimate Dandori battles, the balancing on them isn't very good. Some of them, there's one in particular that's on a beach that like I was struggling to beat. Like I think I attempted it 10 times or something, and I can only get a bronze medal. And it's like everything. I was like, okay, next round, I'll pluck these Pikmin, and then I'll go over here and I'll start them digging this hole, and then, oh crap, I need to freeze that water. And then when you get those parts, you're just like, oh my god, this is what Pikmin should be. If they just made it, if they just honed in on that. Like, give me one or the other, don't try to melt both together. That's my thesis.
No, I think that makes sense, because there are two different games in there where if you focus less on the time limit, I think that means you have to create these 3D environments and maybe little puzzles with your Pikmin that the game is not currently doing, because the puzzle essentially in every level is how much you connect within the time limit. So if you're no longer functioning within that time limit, I feel like there's much more interesting things you can do. For example, I'm a little disappointed in this game for like the bosses and the enemies. Do they really not have any better ideas for like ways to fight stuff than just the same thing you always do? Is that the best that it's a little disappointing to me. And I kind of feel that way about a lot of the puzzles in the game, where I'm like, functionally, this is not adding anything to my mental stack that I didn't already have in past Pikmin games. And I think sometimes when they do try to add stuff, it's like not executed very well. The ice Pikmin, I kind of wish they weren't in the game. Is that weird? Do you kind of know where I'm going with this?
Yeah, it's just the ice Pikmin. Again, like as I was saying, the ice Pikmin are only there as like a tool to maximize your efficiency. They don't actually have a function in and of themselves. They're like, most times when you use an ice Pikmin, it's to freeze water so that people can get across it. But most of the time, there's a way to go around that, if you get me.
Oh, 100%. And I feel like the freezing of the water is, from what I've played, underutilized. And when it is used, I feel like it's so uninteresting. It's so like right in front of your face. Like, this is what you're supposed to do. And you never have that moment of like, I don't know, of like really making you think creatively, which I think the game could strive for. But instead, the thing that it's communicating to you is what you were describing, this mental stack of all of the tasks you want to do, and trying to master your Dandori so that you can best alleviate every concern in your mental stack. And it's crazy how often playing the game does not try to like push that button enough. And the only time I ever really feel a sense of urgency in what I've played so far is I do the same thing every day. I always end my day by jumping into a cave. That's the last thing I do. Try to maximize my time. And so of course, when I exit the cave, I have like literally 10 seconds to make it back to the ship. And sometimes I have to like carry a little guy. Yeah. So I'm like, come on, we only have 10 seconds. Come on. And that's fun. And I think when we talk about something being hard, we don't necessarily mean like it takes us so many times to complete it. I think what we're talking about is that sense of that pressing sense in the game.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think I want more of that. And it's weird because the game is like constantly telling you that that's kind of what it wants, but it doesn't enact that in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yeah, because like the reason, again, just to touch on your point about the combat, about how kind of just, it's literally all the same. You hold down the charge button with Ochi and just launch all your Pikmin out. But in Pikmin 1, it made sense both like narratively and also just mechanically that the combat didn't feel good. It's kind of like, I drew a parallel in my review that it kind of reminded me of Resident Evil 1. Have you ever played that?
Yeah.
So in Resident Evil 1, you don't want to engage in combat in pretty much any way unless you have to. And that's what Pikmin, because 1, resources are really rare. 2, it's kind of clunky and not really good. So in Pikmin 1, when you are fighting the enemies, it feels clunky. Your Pikmin are like really, really like important, because if they die, then you have to spend more time collecting more Pikmin, which then eats up at your time that you have in the overall to collect all your ship parts. But here, because your Pikmin don't really mean anything, I never even came close to running out of any type of Pikmin. And B, the combat is so it's almost like they made the combat mechanics are a lot more streamlined, but because they're more streamlined, it makes them completely and utterly boring because of how easy it is. Whereas if, again, even something as small as if they had a time limit, every single combat encounter, whether or not it was hard or easy or fun or not fun, still meant something. Whereas here, it doesn't mean anything, because it can take up time, but what's time? Like, time doesn't mean anything. That's very, that's very deep. But in Pikmin, like, time doesn't mean anything. So you can spend 10 minutes killing a boss.
Right.
Whereas in Pikmin 1, you couldn't. Because and also, again, with the resources, you could lose 20 Pikmin fighting a boss here. But whereas in Pikmin 1 or Pikmin 2, that'd be catastrophic. Because you're like, oh crap. Because there was one time where I lost a load of Pikmin. And when I lost a load of Pikmin in Pikmin 1 and 2, I was like, oh my god, I'm so stressed. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? No, I lost these. Oh crap, now I have to go back and I have to time this out. Okay, I need to go to here because that's where the most flowers are. But if you lose 20 Pikmin here, you're just like, I have 150 of every single Pikmin type in my base, so it doesn't really matter. So, and like, to be honest, I think that is the main idea of my whole review here, is that it's just at odds with itself. It's a fun game. I enjoy it. Like, I would say go out and buy it. I recommend it, but it's a game that I think could have been so much better.
Yeah, it's really high quality, and I think we both recognize that. And it's funny because there's more in this game pointing to how it could be better than I think in any other Pikmin game. This I feel like is a really good base, and I hope it does well for the franchise, because I'd even love to see what they do with like a DLC expansion. I think that would be really interesting, especially if they could do something kind of like that Pikmin 1 thing that they do at the end of the game, more self-contained. That would be really cool. But like, I'm playing this game and there's so much stuff in here that I'm like, why exactly is this here if we're not going to do a little more with it? The game reminds me of Persona 5 sometimes. So Persona 5, it's like every loading screen in the bottom corner, it says take your time.
Yeah.
And every time a day starts over in this game and you're in that little base and you're like, oh, what am I going to do today? I have this like, I'm like, oh my god, I'm like playing Persona 5 right now, and I wish that there was this element of you get all these people at your hub, and as you go over to and talk to Turley, and Turley goes, Jake, here's what's going on with me. I need to go get the banana from the Forgotten Shore. Let's go get that banana right now. And it's like a little bespoke mission unto itself that it's like some kind of trial, and it's like, okay, we're gonna go get that banana for Turley. Like, that would be such a meaningful experience. It would be that the game kind of like pressing in on you in a way to be like, you have to do this thing right now. And then if you don't get that banana for Turley, you just go back and Turley's like depressed. And that's, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you failed. You don't get my special reward. And like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, firstly, Jake, I have to commend you for actually remembering one of the characters' names.
Because... No, I made that up. I made Turley up.
Okay, because I don't know any of them. I think there's like a Sergeant Shepherd or something. I think I think that's it. And then the other, I know the Pikmin characters from the other games, but I know nobody here. But yeah, no, I do know what you mean. Where like with that idea that you just ran off with there, like you could have it so that it's on a map that you've already explored, but now there's different enemies, and you have a time like you have 3 minutes to get from the base to collect that banana, but in between there and you, there's a bird boss or something that you have to fight, or something to just kind of give you a bit more of that Dandori kind of experience.
Context, and like, there's so little context in this game. It's the overworlds, I feel like, have lost a little bit of their identity because, dude, this is a crazy opinion, but I think there's too much treasure in this game.
Yeah, no, there is, yeah.
Okay, it's too much. It has lost all of its identity. I don't care anymore. It's just meaningless nonsense. And like, sometimes I do have a little laugh when I look in the little like Picklepedia or whatever it is, and I see the little notes. Like, that's all. It's still very good and charming, and I like it a lot. But there, at least so far from what I've played, I never really have that experience of seeing a big piece of treasure and being like, Oh my God. You know what I mean? Because I'm getting treasure all the time. So I
Yeah.
think the balance is off. So if you could make, with context, if you could make it mean something, it's like, oh, go get Turley's banana and she's going to turn it into banana juice and feed the people in the town. Then now I remember that banana. Whereas like right now I'm sitting here with you. I don't really remember any of the treasure outside of like the Nintendo ones, you know?
Yeah, I know the
Yeah.
Nintendo stuff. I know there was a robot that for a while I thought his two arms were dildos.
Nice.
I was looking at it, I was like, that looks like a dildo with a cape on it. I was
Yeah.
like, come on, surely, come on. It was pretty bad. But like, yeah, I know what you mean with the treasure. Now I did enjoy the kind of serenity of just collecting stuff.
Yes.
I think that works with certain people. Like if you're into collectathon platformers, if you're into just Ubisoft style open world games, them sorts of just sit there, just run around and just gather crap can work. But I think if you're not in the mood for something like that, then you need to have something, as you said, about treasure that actually means something. Because every single ship part that you found in Pikmin 1, you had this cool little... Now, I know there are notes. There's notes, but there's, I think, 300? 200. There's a couple of hundred treasures in this game, okay? I literally, I need one more, and I know how to get it. It's the final one that you need the purple onion to collect. But
Cool.
there's notes, but I'm not going to sit there and read 250 notes. Like, come on. Whereas in Pikmin 1, it's like, oh, Olimar is giving you a cool thing. Oh, well, I found my ship's navigator. Oh, this means I can go back to my family or something. And then, just little things like that, because Olimar's character in Pikmin 1 is so cool. And just the little captain's logs in between the missions where he kind of starts to get a bit like existential with it, where I know there was one that stands out where it's like, I'm not sure if the Pikmin found me or if I found the Pikmin or they found me. I feel like sometimes I'm the one controlling them, but maybe they're controlling me or something. It's like, that's what you need. Whereas in this, I was engaging with the dialogue for, the first, say, 5-10 hours. And then after, I was just like mashing the button because I don't care. Because first of all, there's 30, no, I think there's like 40 space people, space men defined. And it's like, none of them, I can't even think of any of their names.
Russ
and then you get
the scientist.
Yeah, and then you get to like when you find the old people, like you find Olimar and you find the other characters, you're like, oh, I remember what it's like when they made a character that looked cool or had some interesting dialogue, and I know we're sitting here discussing the overall story of a Pikmin game and critiquing it, which in itself is quite ridiculous, but there is a place for fun and engaging story, even if it's just a 15-line space log or a captain's log or a letter from your family or a letter from the boss or the president from Pikmin 2. Like, he was hilarious. He was talking about how he had to build a house underneath a bridge and the dogs have started to take to him and all this stuff, but none of that is here. Like, none of that. So it makes going back, as I said, to the base just like completely meaningless.
Those messages you would get in between the days in Pikmin 2 from the president, glorious.
Yeah.
They hold up so well. They're so funny. And I will say, I think I like the characters in this a little bit more than you do, just because I find them like charming in like a sweet way. They're not like super interesting, but I do find them like cute. And I really actually like the character creator in this game. I think that's fun. But I find it so annoying that like almost all of the NPCs, maybe all of them from what I can tell, use the character creator to create them. So you end up with all these stupid characters that look just like yours. And it's so depressing. I'm like, no, how dare you steal my eyes? I know. Oh, I hate that. It makes me feel generic. Whereas when I started, I felt cool. Yeah.
Okay, well, there's a couple of other mechanics, I guess, that we haven't... Well, we've kind of touched on, but like in general, the new mechanic is Ochi, the new pup. And he's very cute. I really like his design. Again, that is where we said some of the characters kind of look a bit boring, and I think Pikmin's overall character design, like for the Pikmin and for Olimar and for Louis, and it's generally really good, and I think Ochi is up there with them. Like, he's really cute, and mechanically, he as you said, it makes it streamlines the whole experience. I understand that it makes it kind of easy, especially with the combat, but you touched on it earlier as well.
Mhm.
I am so glad that because your Pikmin can cling to Ochi, they don't fall off bridges and they don't drown, and it's just like a minor annoyance. I think overall the Pikmin AI is like way, way better than Pikmin 1, 2, and 3. Like
Yeah.
leaps and bounds better, which is great. And you also have more options where you can like call them back to you eventually through upgrading and stuff. So it's like a very streamlined experience. And I would have loved, again, well, you get to see it when you play Olimar. Like,
Mhm.
I would have loved to see what a full original Pikmin 1 style game would have been like with these mechanics. Because I think they could have done something a bit more interesting with it with Ochi if, again, time mattered. Because in Pikmin 3, they brought in where you have 3 different captains and they can all be doing different things at once. And they kind of give you that in this, where like you can send Ochi to do something or to go gather up your Pikmin or, guard a place for the night missions. We haven't touched
Yeah.
on the night missions. I dislike them, but we'll talk about them after. But again, it's just Ochi is cool, but he doesn't actually do much. He just streamlines the experience, and then his new mechanics that they bring in don't change much because the time doesn't matter, you know?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I will say that the titillation meter went up when I was playing the game and I had like a little cutscene and they go, "Oh my god, Ochi's tail is a leaf now." I was like, "What?" I thought that was cool. I was like, "This is a nice little." They could have dug in on this a little bit more, I think. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed that there's no like story beat that really takes advantage of how cool would it have been if something happened to your pilot, the pilot you're playing as, and you have to do like an Ochi solo mission to go get your pilot back.
Yeah.
Like that would be crazy. That'd be so fun. We've seen all these pilots. You have to rescue all of them just to do one as Ochi. That would have been really cool since he has all the capabilities of a pilot. And I'm also a little disappointed they didn't let us customize Ochi. We see Moss, which is Olimar's dog. And I'm like, man, it would have been cool if I could like pick his color, maybe arrange some of his face a little bit. Yeah, stuff
Maybe a
like
different
that. I'm
color
like,
or,
oh,
yeah.
yeah, I'm like, why isn't that in this game? Like that would be fun. Something I kind of want to hit on though is the controls. You were talking about this a little bit earlier with the combat being so easy. I think a contributing factor to that is the new control method, which is I think the standard and really the only way to play the game, like locks on to where you essentially want to be throwing these Pikmin 90% of the time, I would say. And it wasn't until I went back to like Pikmin 1, 2, and 3 that I realized, oh my god, like aiming and throwing the Pikmin is like half the battle.
Yep.
It's like even when you're just trying to like hit the little flowers and get the pellets, it's like now that's a joke. Now you just run up, boom, boom, move on to the next thing. In the old games, it was like, oh, I missed that flower a little bit. My bad. Okay, then they climb up and you're like, oh, I don't want you to climb up. Yeah. And like that kind of thing is actually kind of fun. And it's weird because the game actually does have motion controls built in for a player too, that they can do motion control stuff. So I don't know why it's not here. It's just
Oh,
yeah, it's
no, there is motion controls.
for single player.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, but it's only like the fine adjustments. You know, is it that thing?
Oh, no. I think it's. I played with my Joy. Now I turned it off instantly, but I played with my Joy-Cons and there was motion controls.
Like a free cursor?
I think so. It was moving more than I expected.
Okay,
But there is an option in the menu to turn motion controls on or off.
Oh, see, I'm under the impression that it's just when you hold a Pikmin back when you're like holding it.
Oh,
getting ready to throw,
it
and
might
then-
it might be. Yeah.
Yeah, because in all the past games, you could just aim that thing wherever you wanted before you even got one ready, free. It was I don't know. So,
Are the ice Pikmin the only new Pikmin?
yeah, yes.
Yes, they are, aren't they?
Oh, well, the glow Pikmin.
Oh yeah, the glow Pikmin. So I guess we'll move on to the night expeditions. So these are going to be the reason why I probably don't fully 100% this game, because they are no fun. Essentially, the night expeditions are this tower defense style thing where you go around and you collect essentially star bits. That's what they look like.
Yeah.
To bring them back, and then you get glow Pikmin that are just like super powerful Pikmin,
Right.
which come in very handy on the final boss. Pro tip: save your glow seeds for it. And I've done maybe 50-60% of these, and I am struggling. No, actually, way more. No, about 60-70%. And each time I do it, I sit there and I'm like, why am I doing this? I just don't find them fun.
It's so mindless. You just have nothing.
Completely mindless.
When I realized that the goal is just to kill everything, my brain like split in half. I was like, oh my god, wait, the amount of star bits or whatever they're actually called is just to supplement my ability to kill enemies. And once you kill all the enemies, it's over. And I'm so sorry, Pikmin, but when they take away the Pikmin types, thus making the combat less interesting. And you can just attack anything with anything.
Yep.
These glow Pikmin, the second they take something back to your base, they just show up next to you.
Yep.
It's like, okay, we're gonna make a combat focused mode and combine it with the easiest combat you will ever have in a Pikmin game. I'm like, bro, what? And the first time you do it, you go, oh, this is gonna be cool. This is interesting. This is different. And then no, just throw your Pikmin, move on.
Yep. It's. I don't want to be like I don't think there's any more of a critique to give than what you gave there. Is that it's just completely mindless, mind-numbing, boring. Like it's not even like it's hectic because there's loads of enemies. As I said, I'm like 60-70% through these, so I'm like nearing the end. I think I've 10, 15-ish left, and not once have I even come close. Like most of the time I beat them and my base doesn't have any damage taken off.
Oh, never. No.
It's
It's funny. They're like, hey, do you want to leave Ochi at the base to guard it? And I'm like, sure. And then he just does nothing the whole battle.
Exactly.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And then the glow Pikmin have this thing that when you charge them up, they basically turn into a flashbang or a stun grenade. It just stuns out. Yeah, exactly. A big Hadouken just.
Yeah.
And that just makes it so comically easy. It's unbelievable. I think, it's. I don't really have anything else to say about that. The night expeditions, I've put like nearly 30 hours into this game. I have exactly one treasure to get, and I know how to get it. And then I've like 10, 15 more of these night expeditions, but I'm not even sure if I'm going to beat them.
What did you think of like your versus matches against Olimar in that mode? What did you think of those?
So they're okay. They are okay, but what they do is they give you half of a screen to look at and give you this big clunky UI. And there's the thing that splits down the middle that shows you like the extra multiplier, like
yes.
that literally takes up half of your screen. And it's like half of my screen is already taken up. It's fine. It's probably, I think, in order of new things added to this game, I think it goes the Dandori trials that are collect all the treasures, and then probably the Dandori battles.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like the Dandori trials are up here and the battles are like down here, and then the night expeditions you can't even see on the screen here.
Yeah.
So it's, again, I think with the trials, obviously they're called Dandori battles, so they're trying to force you into this way of efficiency. But even the hardest one, which I have beaten, the AI isn't very good. And now with a friend or two, maybe with a friend, can you play them locally?
You can, yes.
Yeah. So with a friend, maybe they might be fun once or twice, but the AI just isn't very good. On the hardest one, there's basically this bomb thing that spawns that you can. Have you seen this?
No.
So it's basically a way to turn the tide of the battle. Not that you ever really need it, but it's a bomb that spawns in the middle, and you throw your Pikmin at it, and they carry it back to your enemy's base, and then they blow up, and then it drops capsules that keeps all their score, and then you can then steal their score, which is really cool. But every single battle I've done, I've been a good bit ahead of them, and then when that bomb spawns in, they don't even bother going for it, so I just end up making the gap even bigger. I think the shortest gap that I had on these was the final one, where there was maybe 20 score in the difference. But it was still nowhere near even ever really being close.
Yeah. It's funny. We're like doing a lot of criticizing of this game right now, and I am wholly positive on it, but I will say
me too.
The one element that, now that we're talking about it, that made me like rear back in disgust, that I literally was like, this is embarrassing, is when I'm doing the Dandori battles and they introduce item boxes. I thought that was cringe as heck. I was like, oh my god, your solution to making this more interesting is this stupid like thing with a question mark on it that I press the button and he gets zapped with lightning. I thought it was embarrassing. I can't believe Nintendo sunk that low. They're like, we need to put an item box in it.
Yeah, it's just not a great. It's like a fine mode, but every time it's every single time I went into a cave. Every single time I did a Dandori battle, and every single time I did a night expedition, I didn't want to play the game.
Yeah,
some
it's
of
funny.
Sorry, just some of the caves, some of them are actually designed pretty well. They do bring in some elements. There's a couple in particular that have moving moving like escalators, or travelators or whatever you call them, and sometimes they are utilized well. So there's a couple of them where you throw your Pikmin onto a fan and you're standing beside a button and you have to like change the direction of the things in time so that your Pikmin can make it to, open a gate or find a treasure.
Yeah.
And when them caves are there, they're honestly quite fun. And then the other caves that can be fun are the kind of boss ones. But I think every single boss in this game, bar a handful, maybe 2 or 3 of them, are the same, are from other Pikmin games. Like I'm trying to think, maybe 3 or 4 bosses are new, and then
that's
the rest.
Impression I got.
And then the rest are all just old bosses, which I think is fair enough if you have a throwback dungeon that's like a boss gauntlet of all the old games bosses. That's cool. Because that's like a nice throwback. And they do have that. But if every boss, bar a handful of them, are things that you've already experienced, and especially it's even worse for me because I'm literally just off playing Pikmin 1, 2, and 3. It's like, I've fought these, and now that the combat is so easy, they're even easier than they were. So
yeah, I hear you, and I think there's some attention that could be paid to these caves to make them feel more like bona fide dungeons and have like a little bit more of an identity behind them, and like bosses that are more meaningful, or even just like stronger theming where it is just like, oh, okay, this is a cave where you're gonna fight this enemy, and now you're gonna fight a bigger one, and now you're gonna fight 3 of them. It's like, oh, I'm surprised you guys like don't do that more. Missed opportunities with the caves. I think I will say I there is a degree to which I think I enjoy them more than the average person. I like the idea of type management versus time management. That's fun for me. I do think it's trivialized a little bit more here than it was even in Pikmin 2 because for 2 reasons. One, the auto choose your type that you go into the cave with, not a fan of that. I get why it's there, but it's just another thing on top of all these other elements that I think is trying to get you not to think as much, when I feel like Pikmin is supposed to be about thinking. So that's one thing. And then the other one is, I don't know.
Yeah, no, sometimes that just happens. Sometimes you have a point in your head and you're just like, oh crap, I forget it.
Yeah, I guess it's gone. But,
yeah, it just happens.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh,
in the caves, I feel like they give you so many opportunities to. There's just like Pikmin chilling that I can pluck out of the ground whenever I'm really gonna need one. So I feel like I'm never really punished. It's always kind of like has my back to make sure that I can keep progressing. So.
Yeah. See, I think that type. Now, this didn't happen to me in Pikmin 2, but I have heard people level this criticism at Pikmin 2 that there are times in the caves where you can go into them and go quite deep in them. And then you realize that you physically do not have the right Pikmin to get there. So I think, and that didn't happen to me in Pikmin 2 because I'm a pro gamer. But if that did happen to me on Pikmin 2, I would be very frustrated because already I was frustrated with the caves. So I'd say that's probably where they were coming at that, like from that angle. We want to stop that from happening. But I think you can do that smart, like you can do that more intuitively, where it's not just press a button and it automatically gives them to you. You can do it like have 5 Pikmin that you can pluck out of the ground, or have a flower that the next room you will need minimum 5 water Pikmin or something.
Right.
So
I think really
Yeah,
quick, the gameplay
yeah,
experience that I feel like I'm trying to get out of the caves is I want the experience of having to fight an enemy that requires I use fire Pikmin. Okay, it's like you have to use fire Pikmin to fight this enemy. And I go, okay, great. And I go into the battle, and maybe I lose 20 fire Pikmin to this guy. And I'm like, oh God, I've only got 5 fire Pikmin left. And then I go to the next room and it goes, Jake, you need 10 fire Pikmin to proceed. And I go, no! And I have to go back and start up. To me, that is the ideal experience. That's the pressure I want there to be. But I feel like in this game, those experiences either don't exist, or if I need 10 fire Pikmin to progress, I will find a patch of 10 fire Pikmin
yeah.
right there, and that goes, here you go, Jake. And all right. So the idea of type management feels lost in a sequence of gameplay where I feel like that's the point. I feel like the point of that
Yeah.
is that thread. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, again, I said that in my review where
Mm.
Pikmin 1 was kind of like unit numbers and type, or unit numbers and time management, or well, time management, and then everything, a lot of things fell under that, like what enemies you killed, what shortcuts you opened up, how many units you had, if you need to spend more time collecting more units, where Pikmin 2 was more of a, again, as you said, like a type management. Like you have to manage your units and not your time as much. And again, like as I keep saying, it's like this game just has a bit of everything. Like has a tiny bit of time management, kind of, but not doesn't really matter. And then it has a tiny bit of type management, but it kind of doesn't really matter most of the time. Like I didn't run into it, but I'm sure if you were a less skilled gamer than I, as I am,
Right,
a professional,
Mhm.
then maybe you would run into them. Yeah. Now, Jake, there was one thing throughout my whole time playing Pikmin 4 that I couldn't wrap my head around. And there's so many of these design choices where I kind of go through these battles in my head of maybe, oh, maybe this is the reason why they did that. Maybe this is the reason why they did that. Why is there a limit on the amount of Pikmin that you can have in your party at any time? As in, not by number, I mean, you can only have 3 types at any given time.
Artificial gatekeeping is the only answer I can come up with. I think it's a little bit of that. I also think it's a little bit of their fear of difficulty. Their fear of overloading the player with options, and they're like, we are so afraid that our player is going to get frustrated or confused that we need to simply limit it. So they looked at Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and they said, Olimar can only have 3 Pikmin out at once in this. Let's give him 3 Pikmin types at once. And yeah, I don't know. It feels like a contrivance. It feels like a purposeful limitation, not like an organic thing that like makes that when I'm playing the game, I go, oh, this is why you only need 3. Now, obviously the game I think is designed in a way where it never asks you to really have more than 3 types to get any one particular task done. But I also wonder if that's a weakness and not a strength.
Yeah, well, I personally think it's a weakness because, especially if we're going with this Dandori making everything efficient,
Yeah.
just think of the sort of speedrunners or the people who want to try reach the end that like get 100% as fast as possible. Just think of what they could do if they could have 10 red Pikmin, 5 of these Pikmin, 5, and then they could have loads of different tasks going on all at once, and they could have their purple Pikmin off fighting this guy, they could have their ice Pikmin freezing this thing so that the other Pikmin can carry something over the ice real quick.
Right.
And yeah, as you said, it is there. You rarely, or I don't think I ever ran into a situation where I needed more than 3 types of Pikmin, but it's like, why give me that limitation when it doesn't make sense? It's kind of, I'll take it back to Tears of the Kingdom. It's like part of the reason why I find Tears of the Kingdom so fun is that it just gives you tools and just says, do whatever you want with it. And I think some people find that a kind of weakness, but I find it a strength because they just trust in the player. Whereas I don't think Pikmin trusts the player or respects. Ever since Pikmin, like Pikmin 3, even though I like Pikmin 3 and 4, they don't respect you the way Pikmin 1 and 2 do. Pikmin 1 and 2, I know it's a different era. I understand they're GameCube games. Things were less handholdy then, but it's like Pikmin 1 and 2 just say, here's everything. Pikmin 2 to a lesser extent, it kind of explains more to you, but it's still quite unknown and a bit scary. But Pikmin 3 and 4 are just like, we are going to show you absolutely everything that you need. And we're not going to trust you. You don't have a brain. You don't need a brain.
It is interesting. The game does talk to you like you don't have a brain. Yeah, it is, yeah, there's something to that. And I think it's also maybe a fault to the game that like when you're training Ochi and getting these new abilities, the abilities don't necessarily, there's like one or two that do unlock any new opportunities for you as much as they just make things that you're already doing easier.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's a flaw in the design. It would be cool though if you could have all the Pikmin types at once, and there was like an end game dungeon that you had to. It was like designed to be like you take in like 10 of each type. You know what I mean? And you have them all doing specific stuff at once. Like that'd be cool. It's a shame that that kind of thing doesn't exist. But I feel like okay. Big criticism of this game, by the way, multiplayer not as good as Pikmin 3. So disappointing.
Yeah.
Like Pikmin 3 full co-op campaign, sick. That's how I played it. The fact that that's not here, you can't have a second player controlling Ochi, big disappointment for me. That would be so much fun. But I've been thinking a lot. I feel like Nintendo games lately have been getting into this post-game DLC territory, and who am I to think that Miyamoto's favorite son, Pikmin, will not get a juicy DLC campaign, you know? So like I do think something is coming. Pikmin 3, the protagonists are notably absent from this game. So I think maybe it could be they could be featured in the DLC, and maybe it will have a multiplayer focus. Maybe they're holding it back from there. They don't want to overwhelm people until later. So I think that would be cool. But I wonder if there is a vision for this game that you and I both, I think, see pretty clearly, that they are just trying to get in the door with more people first, and then maybe that comes later, because you get hints of it, you see it with that post game Olimar mode. So maybe DLC is the opportunity to really deliver something more in line with what we're asking for. That'd be sick.
Yeah, well, I think that's yeah, I totally agree. Where it's almost like Pikmin does have an identity crisis. Like, and I'm saying this as someone who has no nostalgia for the series. My first time playing a Pikmin game was literally like 3-4 weeks ago. So it's not it's not even like I grew up and it's like, oh no, Pikmin has to be like this. You know, I prefer the old Zelda. You know, but like I think now it just has a complete identity crisis because one thing. So Metroid has never sold well. Yes.
Right.
But one thing you can respect about the Metroid series is that it stuck to its guns. It's like, yeah, there were certain things that changed over the years, but if you played Super Metroid or you played Metroid Dread, they are pretty similar games. And they're not afraid to be difficult, just like Metroid Dread. They're not afraid to be obtuse like Metroid Prime. But Pikmin is just afraid of... It's afraid of it's literally afraid of everybody. It's afraid of its fans, and it's afraid of the people, and it's afraid of not appealing to the people that they want to bring in.
Yeah, it's funny. The game really never lets its hand off of you. It never does that. It never completely surrenders its control of like wanting to walk you through or tell you how to play. And yeah, I do think that is a fault to the game, and I think that sense bleeds into the experience, because the core experience is again tied to I think pressure is just like key to Pikmin, like the idea of pressure, and that hand being on your shoulder the whole time you're playing the game, it runs counter to, I think, like the core feeling of Pikmin, which is like pressure. And I think they're trying to transform pressure into Dandori. They're trying to be like, it's not about pressure. It's not, but Dandori is pressure. That's the whole so I think identity crisis is a good term for it.
Yeah. And the thing is, this is probably the most negative positive review that you'll ever hear of Pikmin 4, because I still like the game. I still like really enjoyed my time. There was a couple of times when I was doing a night expedition or I was in a cave that I didn't particularly like. I was like, why am I doing this to myself? But like 85, 90% of the time, I loved it. I was having loads of fun. Just like fun, chill game, listen to a podcast, collect some stuff.
Yeah, it's one of these games that I think is really good at this feeling of going through the motions. This feeling of like, okay, you guys are gonna go over there, I'm gonna go over here, I'm gonna do this. And it's just like those 15 minutes in every level goes by so fast. It's just like a nice, comforting kind of game. There's not a lot of other video games like it at all. So
Like,
yeah,
none
yeah, so it
whatsoever.
really
Yeah.
has something going for itself, and I think it's a franchise worth continuing. But I think what we're picking up on is just like the game is very good, and it has great potential, unbelievable
Yeah.
potential. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I think that potential is shown in the Olimar story. But
cool.
I
Yeah.
have a couple of quick fire questions. Unless you have anything else you want to touch on as a sort of like part of the main review.
No, I think we got. Yeah, I think it was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Jake, as we wrap this up, we had some technical difficulties. I have a couple of quick fire questions. Now, one I already asked, but we're going to jump into it. Jake, what's your favorite Pikmin game?
Pikmin 2. I
Okay.
love Louis. The president just tickles me. I understand like it doesn't have that like strange new world thing going for it quite as much, but there's so much like little just like sweet storytelling things. I think the new Pikmin in that one are really fun and actually like do add a lot. And I just think having two captains is like core to the experience for me. I really love that ability to split up, and I use it all the time, and it always surprised me when people said that they didn't use it that much, because I was like, dude, then your Dandori is not as good as mine.
Well, I didn't use it much. I
was all over the place.
Pikmin 1 is my favorite.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I assume I already know the answer to this question, but
Okay.
Olimar or Louis?
Louis every day.
Okay. Yeah, I prefer Louis too. He's weird. He's just a weird person, and he looks. I love when his eyes open.
Yeah.
I just love it. It's brilliant. Okay. Louis or the president?
The president, dude. The president. I love the president. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
And Ochi or Moss?
Moss.
Oh, really? I think Moss is ugly.
I know. That's why I like him. He's a little freak. Yeah,
fair enough. Yeah, I just think Ochi's really cute, and Moss just, I don't know. Moss looks like a just.
Oh, see, I wish I had Moss the whole time. I was playing this game.
Oh,
and I was
really?
like, yeah. I like green as well, so that plays a role. Yeah.
Green's my favorite color. So
Yeah.
as you can see by my channel border and everything. Okay, and then the final question.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm actually going to split this up into two. Okay.
Okay.
So of the original 3 Pikmin types, which one's your favorite?
Of the original 3.
Yeah. Blue, yellow, red.
Yellow.
Yep.
I like the ears.
Mhm.
I like that they go higher for some reason that we never fully explore. Yellow, definitely yellow.
Okay, yeah, that's the correct answer. And then we'll just include all of the other ones. So we have pink, we have rock, we have purple, we have ice, we have white, and then we have glow Pikmin. Am I missing any? I don't think I am.
Wing?
I had a pink.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
Yeah,
okay.
I just use them. Look, I'm a child.
Yeah.
I'm a child. Everything is a color. Even flavors are colors.
For me, it's got to be purple Pikmin. Yeah, I love the Jumbo Wumbo Pikmin.
Yeah.
I just think that they're funny looking. I like that in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Do you know about this? Do you know what I'm about to say?
No.
Oh, there's like a glitch in that game. So when Olimar's Pikmin die, they all have like the little souls. They make their little noise, but the purple Pikmin have no souls. And I find that hilarious. I don't know. So I've always liked purple Pikmin. I want to give a nod though to rock Pikmin. I like what they're about. I like that they've just got their little eyes on the rocks. They're a good time. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I never played Smash properly. So,
okay.
And even if I did, I never played as Olimar. I didn't know, I barely knew who Olimar was.
Oh, he's fun.
I just knew he was just like that weird looking space guy that has the little guys.
So who's your favorite Pikmin then?
Purple.
You have purple too? Oh,
yeah. They're just so cool. Because when they hit, they go up and then just go boom, boom. And they're a bit thick as well.
It was so cool in Pikmin 2 when they get their flowers too, and the flowers are have pink petals.
Yeah.
That at the time that was so cool.
They're the best Pikmin out of all of the Pikmin. They are the best, and they're also the most useful. I find just
because they're strong.
Yeah, they're just. They're like Kirby that when he changes into his rock. Yeah. That's what they remind me of. But yeah, I mean Pikmin 4, I really enjoyed the game. Has loads of issues. It could have been the best Pikmin, but it isn't. If everything was that Olimar story, it could have been, but it isn't.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Do you find it to be an essential Nintendo Switch title? If you're writing like a guide, like the 10 essential, you know
Ooh,
what I mean? If you're
that's
one
a
of these
good
people,
question.
you've got like a piece coming out. It's like the 2023, the 15 best Nintendo Switch games. Is it making your list, do you think?
Are we including non-first party games and like
You
non-exclusives?
This is your
No,
15
no,
essential Nintendo Switch game. Really?
no.
Wow. That's
I'd have to.
wild.
I'd have to. Just my gut reaction is no. I'd say it'll be in like the 20 range.
Okay.
But I'm just trying to think. Actually, let's just do a quick. While we're here, we'll do a quick exercise.
Wait, no, this is a good video. Maybe we should save this. Actually.
Oh yeah. That is a good video. Yes, but I don't think it would be. Okay, I'm writing that down.
Yeah. Okay.
Essential. That sounds like a very good.
Yeah.
Jake, you're a genius.
I've got some takes that will surprise, but I'll leave that to the future. Yeah. Oh man, but yeah. So ultimately, you don't think it would be included in that list? It's a pretty exclusive list.
No, it's kind of. I think it would be in and around the 15 to 20 range. I don't think I would. No, my gut reaction is no. But there's a chance maybe if I like look at the list, it might sneak in at 15.
I know.
But,
that's okay.
Like I honestly, I genuinely think if I think I would recommend Pikmin 3 Deluxe over this game.
Whoa. Okay.
think.
That's something. Okay.
Yeah.
Pikmin 3 Deluxe, I feel like it's over fast. That's my biggest criticism.
Yeah. There is like one thing I can say about this game is it has a lot of content,
which I appreciate.
Yeah. It'll keep you coming back. Like if you're not like if you're a normal person that doesn't play 12 hours of Pikmin in one day,
right?
It'll keep you coming back for ages. I'm done with it now, like 4 days after it, but that's only because I'm a psychopath. So
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Would it make it into your list?
I have to look at the list too.
Okay.
But my gut tells me yes. My gut tells me 15. It would be near the bottom, but I don't know. It's tough. We're in like year 6 or almost 7 of the Switch. I feel like, and that's an exclusive list. But again, it's really got that Nintendo quality, and it operates in a niche that is so specific that it's like an asset to any list. You know what I mean? Because it's not competing for a spot.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
So it's tough. I'm not sure. Yeah. So I'm not sure, but I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm on the opposite side where I'm not sure, but I don't think so.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks, Jake, for your time.
Yeah.
Follow Jake on Twitter and follow his stuff on Game.
You mean X?
Oh, X. Sorry, Microsoft Xbox Series X. And follow me. I mean, if you're watching this, you probably already follow me. I don't know why anybody would be sitting here for an hour and 10 minutes if you don't follow me. So, thank you for watching. Goodbye. There we go.